Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the February 13th meeting of the Public Facilities Committee. First item on our agenda today is the approval of the minutes from our January 17th meeting. Is everybody happy with?
I read them over and they were spectacular, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved, and next is the privilege of the floor. Do we, no one, Olivia, for privilege of the floor?
Nobody's reached out to the office.
Thank you very much.
John,
Yes,
you two gentlemen are here to speak about two resolutions we're about to discuss.
okay, yeah, do you guys wanna do it during the privilege, or you wanna?
We can do it during the discussion too, we just mostly get to answer questions.
Yeah, we'll do a discussion.
Yep.
All right, let's do it then, okay? Thank you. Okay, our first resolution on the agenda is a tabled resolution, so I believe we need a motion to bring it off the table.
I'll make that motion, bring it off the table.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Scudder.
I'll second that.
Very good. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion is brought off the table, and so,
Deja vu.
Good afternoon. Drew Rogers, Deputy Director, Public Facilities, Engineering.
Sam Zafuto, Fiscal Supervisor, Public Facilities.
thank you.
With the additional funds available for ARPA projects, we submitted a project to rehabilitate a section of the overland trail that runs through the Harris Hill State Forest. This section of the overland trail through the Harris Hill Forest is very popular with hikers, mountain bikers, and hunters. The bridges located within this section of trail have fallen into a state of disrepair that resulted in portions of the trail being closed for much of last summer. In addition, there are sections of the trail that are susceptible to erosion. This project will allow for repair to the bridges and reconfiguration of the trail to reduce the potential for erosion. This project would be collaborative between the county parks and not-for-profit group Western New York Mountain Biking. The project request was reviewed with and approved by the Parks Commission to move forward. The project is estimated to cost $50,000, and the hope would be to fund it through the ARPA program. This resolution would allow for the budget adjustments necessary to authorize the spending for that project.
Very good, thank you. Is this the appropriate time for?
Do I come up there or stand back here?
I think that you'll have to come up, because I don't think that microphone is on back there, is it?
I can turn it on,
Comment?
it's easier.
Yeah, well, it's easier to look right here.
All right, yeah.
I don't know.
Come on
Yeah.
up front. And for,
Posterity's sake?
yes, and our, anyone who happens to be joining in and listening over the internet,
Sure.
please give us your name and
My name is Jacob Bodway. I am the Trail Consultant Coordinator for Chautauqua County through the Chautauqua County IDA.
thank you, Jacob.
So yes, the project actually will be about $100,000. The $50,000 ARPA funds would help us remediate sections of the Overland Trail and Harris Hill State Forest that are, as you were pointing out, really popular mountain bikers, hikers, cross-country skiers, hunters, and snowshoers. As you know, the first two phases of the Overland Trail have been remediated. We did a big project last summer in Chautauqua Gorge State Forest, and we completely rerouted that trail, and has become one of the most popular trails in the entire county as a result. So we hope to do the same thing in Harris Hill. The trail right now is unsustainable and very unsafe with certain bridges that are basically just dangling over ravines. So we hope to eliminate all the bridges, as many as possible, and create either hard bottom crossings or put in culverts instead, which is far more sustainable. In sections that are really poorly eroded and have bad water issues, we would then reroute those sections. And sections that just need some work, we would just remediate through a local trail building company, Trail Construction Associates, who have been working on the overland trails and are extremely familiar with the trail sections in Chautauqua County. The overland trail in Harris Hill also connects to Harris Hill Extension, which is a 17-mile mountain bike and shared use trail system that sees roughly 20,000 visitors a year. We have a Harris Hill Hustle Race there every fall, and that sees a good bit of people from Pennsylvania, from Maine, from Canada, and from Ohio. So it's a very popular race, and we just think that its time is now for the overland trails to become sustainable, so we can market them appropriately and publicize their importance to the county. And this will be the third phase of a 7-phase project we have in mind. Any questions about that?
Those trails, what we're talking here are not for ATV and or snowmobile, correct?
Correct.
On the list you list, okay. And who does the work, did you say? What was the
Trail
name?
Construction Associates.
Okay, all right.
They're
And-
based out of Chautauqua County. They're certified by the Professional Trail Builders Association. They have 2 mini excavators, a trail dozer, various ATVs, and a lot of like hand tools. They have about 20 years of experience.
Okay, great, thank you.
They have done a lot of other work on the trails for us, and
Yep.
done a
Great.
great job.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries. Okay, our second resolution is also a tabled resolution, and so we'll need a motion to bring this resolution off the table as well.
I'll make a motion to bring it off the table.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the resolution is on the table. This one is to amend the 2023 budget to implement the Waterways Master Plan project using funding from the American Rescue Plan. Again, in ARPA. Now, do we have someone to speak with that? Thank you. Also, would you please give us your
Sure. Good
Name and-
afternoon. Hi, I'm Twan Leenders. I'm the Director of Conservation for the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the request that's on the table to develop a new master plan for the Martin Cobb Waterways. The original Wester plan, I'm not actually sure how old it is, 40-some years or so. So the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy for the last year has been working with the City of Jamestown to actually apply some of their ARPA funding to make the Chautauqua River passable again and make it go back into its original path. In some places, it had actually carved out 3 additional channels in the middle of the City of Jamestown because of just lack of maintenance, honestly. We're at a position right now where in the last 5 or 6 years, ash trees have been dying because of emerald ash borer that's been rampant throughout the county. And right now, we're past the phase where small branches come down. It's entire trees coming down, rolling down the hills, and they all end up in the waterways at this point, to the point that our county waterways in places have become obstructed. It's causing flooding. It's causing damage to properties and private properties, businesses. Unfortunately, it's caused injuries and deaths for people using the waterways in places where dangerous hazards that actually caused obstructions in the waterway that ended up doing significant damage to people using the waterways. So we're honestly, we're at a point right now where we have a fantastic opportunity to revitalize our county waterway system again and make it safe again, make it sustainable again, and also to prevent future flooding and future damage to properties. But in order to do so, in order to make the waterways maintainable again, it's going to require some additional eyes on first to actually get a better handle on, the entire length of the waterway system. We're talking 40-some miles of waterways that have beaver dams and obstructions in them that are not necessarily always visible until you're paddling around the corner and suddenly see it. So the idea is to develop a new master plan to actually get eyes on the entire system from the beginning to the end, to reassess which sections are still usable, promotable for tourism use and recreational uses. Some sections in the upper headwater systems of Casadega Creek, for example, have so many beaver dams in them that they're not necessarily passable and may not necessarily be the places we want to promote as a recreational destination. But those are the kind of things that still need to be assessed. So the request on the table is to develop a plan for the entire waterway system, to identify the areas that should be promoted for recreational uses, identify the most important hazard areas, and allocate some of that funding that's on the table, the request that's on the table, to actually address the most urgent situations, so that the sections that are beyond the capabilities of the county's regular maintenance crews. So the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy has been working with additional crews. We've got quite a bit of experience doing this work in Conowongo. We actually cleared out a section about 1.5 miles long in Conowongo Creek in the town of Kennedy, where we've had some casualties in the last year. Like I said, we've cleared out about 3.5 miles of the Chautauqua River right now. We're almost at a point where we can actually make the Chautauqua River paddleable and connect it to the modern Cobb waterway system. So we've been in communication with Andy Goodell as well to see if there might be possibilities to actually include the Chautauqua River to the Martin Cobb waterway, which is also something we'd like to address in this master plan, to see if we can actually connect the existing Martin Cobb waterway to Chautauqua Lake essentially, which would then create other opportunities for recreational uses as well. So like I said, we've been doing some of the initial removal of the hazards and the initial maintenance to actually get to a point where we can even assess what it is feasible. But we're in an opportune moment where we can truly look at the entire system as a whole, to look at the opportunities that are there as well as the potential threats that need to be addressed.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
That sounds real good.
I'm happy to take any questions.
Yes, committee, any?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the work that was done in the town of Poland, in the Conowongo area there, and appreciate the work that was done there.
Thank you.
I guess just a question, and I think you addressed it, is that these funds are for more than just a plan. Some of the funds would also be used for additional work in those hard-pressed areas right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So
Good.
the estimate is currently that about 35,000, about a third of the ask would be to create a plan, and then remaining funds would be used to address the highest priority needs at that point.
Good.
Not having seen the entire system yet, it might not exactly break out that way, but the intention is to develop the plan and do as much as we can in terms of initial cleanups as well.
Okay.
Is this the first time a plan has been, or a plan would be developed, or are we working off an old one that already
Not much of
exists?
a plan. The plan is mostly a map. It's an illustrated
Okay.
map. Yeah. So there's really not a whole lot of a plan there. So
Sure.
it would certainly provide all kinds of additional resources as well to promote the waterways. The materials we'll collect. We'll do a lot of aerial surveys with drones and such. So we'll have the materials we need also, which obviously we can share with the county for promoting the waterways.
Would this also be a springboard for grant applications and that type of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can add really quickly too, the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy is about to complete and about to announce a landscape-wide conservation priority assessment that we're in the process of doing right now, where we're actually looking county-wide at where the highest conservation priority areas are in terms of looking at climate resiliency, looking at places where we need to stabilize steep slopes to prevent erosion, to keep the water quality for the entire county as clean as possible, to really think about, you know, the potential that we have with our Proposition 30 by 30 legislation, where we're hopefully getting 30% of New York State protected by 2030, the idea is that this analysis would help us identify areas countywide that should give us the greatest bang for our conservation buck. You know, if we spend money anywhere to actually protect land, to protect, you know, the waterways, to protect slopes from eroding into lakes and waterways, so we try to identify those areas. And our initial analysis has pretty much flagged the entire Cassadaga Creek waterway. So beyond this being a recreational resource, that entire stream corridor, the Conowanga, both the Conowanga, but especially the Cassadaga Creek waterways, coming all the way down from Bear Lake, Cassadaga Lake, all the way down, is clearly the highest priority area in the county here. So anything we can do at this point to get a good handle on what the conservation status is, what the kind of needs are for this area going forward, it will not only benefit recreational uses, but it will also help us, you know, for the next decades to come, to protect the quality of our water that's in there as well.
Any further questions? Is this all connected to the Greenways plan?
It's the Blue Wave partner of the Greenways, I guess,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have a contractor that's gonna do the master plan, I guess?
The Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy will do the master plan, and we'll
Oh,
have
okay.
contractors actually to help with the restoration work. Yeah,
Oh,
so the same contractors we've used in the Chautauqua and up in the Conowanga Creek as well.
Good.
Yeah, so we've got a track record of doing this kind of work.
All right. Any other questions from the committee? All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next proposed resolution is to amend the 2023 budget to implement the Sherman Shop Fuel System Upgrade Project using funding from the American Rescue Plan Act.
Okay, DPF currently has a capital project to replace the fuel system at the Sherman Shop. The project will replace the below-ground fuel tanks that are nearing the end of their life expectancy, and replace with above-ground tanks. The associated fuel dispensers and operating system would be upgraded with that as well. The project was and has been designed. We bid it. At one point, it came in well over budget. We then did some value engineering, changed some things with the system, brought it back out for estimate, and it was projected even more over budget. So what's happening is just the general pricing of materials right now, along with the availability of some of the components, is driving the price up. So that's why we're, requesting additional funding to supplement what we have with that project to really get this built, because we are nearing the end of life with our below ground tanks. So the request for the ARPA funding was at $250,000.
Okay. Questions from the committee?
We might
Mr.
have asked
Stark?
this, so forgive me if we did. What's the life expectancy of, just,
20 to 30 years.
Of an above-ground tank or a below-ground tank?
Below ground.
Oh,
Oh, above ground is probably more like the 30-year mark,
oh,
because you can inspect a little bit better.
John, I was thinking that was the above.
And Drew, I'm assuming pricing is similar on these things, above ground, below ground, or is it?
Yeah.
There's a reason for the below ground versus the above ground?
We prefer the above ground so that you can have better monitoring and inspecting, so that you're not subject to further remediation if something were to happen with those tanks. There are alarms and sensors and things, but if that gets into the ground, that can create additional problems. And
Above ground, you can
Yeah.
do containment.
Yeah, there's a
Uh,
containment system with it, and you can,
See the drips.
yeah. Hopefully keep that right there.
Yep. Any further questions from the committee? Okay, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, our next resolution is to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations, South and Center Sewer Districts. And I see that on this one, we have an amend by substitution due to some corrected figures or items, I guess. Adjusted. So, could you please give us your,
Sure. Thomas Walsh, I'm the director of the South and Center Stock Lake Sewer District. In front of you is a resolution to increase the appropriation accounts and decrease appropriation accounts. Employee Benefits Administration was the largest, I'd say, change for this year in our enterprise account. But we can cover those offsets with our contractual sewage treatment and our undisturbed benefits primarily. So within budget, we can handle these costs.
okay. As far as the amendment by substitution, do we need a motion or anything?
Second, yeah.
Okay. Then we need a motion to amend this by this resolution by substitution.
I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
All right. So, all in favor of the amendment by substitution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, this resolution is amended. And now, for discussion on this resolution, are there questions from the committee concerning the amended resolution?
I got a question. And maybe you, I was shuffling papers around, sorry.
That's okay.
That's a big number, that.
That is a big
5, 10.
number. And I'm gonna defer you to Chris, or Kathleen, because I had the same, wow,
I mean, that jumps off the page.
Yeah.
pretty significantly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, it does jump off the page. It is due to the year-end charges associated with pension liability. Every year we get data from the New York State Comptroller's Office, and the numbers are governed by, we call it GASB 68, Government Accounting Standards Bureau Rule 68, which describes how we need to account for future liability for pension costs for all of the enterprise funds. So we get the report from the State Comptroller's Office. It is very complicated. We do not like it. It is very hard to understand. And pretty much they say, this is how much you will set aside for future pension liabilities. It's very volatile. And you're gonna see in all of the enterprise funds, a big hit from that for 2022. And
Was that expected?
it's never known. In 2021, the expenses, the GASB expenses actually were negative. And this year they're big. And the main reason they're big this year is because of because all of the portfolio performance for all the pension funds in 2022, as everybody knows, 2022 is a very bad year. So, so there's no, negative return on investment for the pension fund, so they have to be funded from other sources, and so they get funded from us.
I guess I'm glad we had a place to pull them.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, Kathleen. And do we have any other questions concerning this proposed resolution? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And, moving on.
Okay.
Our next proposed resolution is, oh, good, thank you.
Oh, I love maps.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, this one is authorizing the application to the New York State Office of the State Controller in relation to the extension of the South Chautauqua Lake Sewer District on the west side of Chautauqua Lake from the hamlet of Stowe to the southern bounds of the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District.
That is correct. And this is phase 2 of our sewer extension. We are currently in progress of construction of phase 1, and this is phase 2 that we are now petitioning the state comptroller to approve.
Okay. And the map that you've given us is
So,
showing,
so what that is, that's from Stowe, and that goes to the boundary of the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District. So in this completion of phase 2, all of the west side of Chautauqua Lake would then be sewered by a municipal sewer system.
sounds real good.
We're getting there.
Yeah. One piece of the puzzle at a time.
How much more do we have on phase 1 to do?
So hopefully, and I say hopefully because of the weather, we are having, obviously, we're doing construction right now.
Yeah.
There was a real, going into the winter, where we're gonna have a 2-month shutdown. This is going very well, so very optimistic speaking.
No frost?
No frost, and the temperature of the equipment. It's very difficult to start equipment at negative
Yeah.
temperatures and work. But right now, we're on, I'd say we're on schedule for a summer hookup and start to really get some of these properties off septic systems and on the municipal system, so.
Good. How many septics is phase 2?
So phase 1 and phase 2, it's actually very much a mirror image. So there's about 350 to 400 in phase 1, and there's almost 350 to 400 in phase 2 as well. And then there's about another 400 in the DeWittville, Hartfield area that we're working on, that the North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District is working on.
Not too soon, I'm saving up my money.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Any further questions on this one from the committee?
Terrific.
Okay. All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries. Thank you. Okay, our next proposed resolution is to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations environment landfill. And
Aaron Gustafson, Deputy Director of Public Facilities Environment, Manager of the Division of Solid Waste. Yeah, we're proposing to, we had some of the similar characteristics of the South and Center had, to basically increase some appropriation accounts and decrease the revenue account and a couple appropriation accounts. And with that, the contractual environment landfill account was over. Employee benefits were over and personal services were over. Contractual environment was due a lot to fuel costs, higher electric costs. We had some gravel and stone costs with the new cell that we kind of incorporated on that. Some vehicle maintenance in-house, because fixing everything is just getting more and more expensive. The employee benefits section is similar to what Kathleen had explained, is the Gatsby is a big portion of that. Hit us fairly hard. And then the personal service was, well, one of our guys who's associated a percentage of recycling out of his pay, got a raise. Some of the guys that are associated with recycling may get some overtime, and it just extends the cost put to that. It's really all just wages in a way. I mean, Kathleen could describe it possibly a little better. But our decreased appropriations account, what we did is we went in the points that these are all in and did what we could. So we completely took care of the personal service account in the same point. We had a little extra revenue in the point fours to take care of the other accounts, and then we had made some extra money in our revenue accounts, so we went to our revenue accounts and balanced the rest of it in-house with the budget of 2022.
Thank you, Aaron. I forgot that this is an amend by substitution as well, and so we need to, I guess, first amend this resolution by substitution of the one that was on your desk today, committee. And so, if I could have a motion to amend by substitution, I would like to entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of amending by substitution, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? All right, I guess now we can talk about this. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Gustafson?
I have a question, but I'm probably gonna look this way.
You can shoot at both of us, whatever you need.
This is good news. This is
I can try if you want, Bob. I'm aware somewhat of the Gatsby issue,
Well,
if that's what you're
did-
asking.
I think I heard Kathleen say this is more just for the enterprise accounts that are taking this.
Yeah, they're coming out of
Mentioned
our
that-
accounts because the non-enterprise make up for it, I believe, out of some general fund stuff.
Okay.
So everyone's
you have to
paying
make
it one
out of
way,
it.
but I have to make it out of my
Out of
budget
your budget.
versus
Okay.
everyone else because of the enterprise.
And then are we
Higher
budgeting
revenues, lower expenses, they're good
ahead for
news.
this?
They equal the
Or
bad
is
news.
this just such an unknown?
I will let Kathleen double check, but I believe we are told what to budget based on the state beginning of the year type of thing. There's a formula they give us, and then
I'm
we
sorry, and I
budget
didn't
accordingly.
hear the question, because I was speaking with
Okay, well,
Mr. Davis.
My first question was, and I heard you say this was for the enterprise accounts, because they
Yes.
gotta figure it out within themselves, right?
Uh,
Basically,
For the, you're talking
for
about
the
the,
pension.
yes. I mean, yes.
So what do we do going forward here? Do we budget for
We,
worst case, or we just see how it goes, or?
the latter, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have
Because
a,
like you said, it was negative.
yes.
It's
So
probably
we,
flat.
yeah, so we have a budget every year, but it is our best guess at what it's gonna be, but it can be a very bad guess, to be blunt. And, we really just don't have any control over
So
it.
is this a bad guess, or just an unexpected?
I mean, the budget is based on kind of an average of past performance. So we're budgeting, I can tell you exactly how much we budgeted for GASB.
I think I was like 280 or something. Did that change?
Obviously not enough.
Yeah.
In a big way. And then I'll give you some information on the history as well. So the GASB 68 pension expense, the budget for the year was $289,000. The actual is $1,067,000. So it's
So
700.
This is just a piece of it,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, that, there were some other savings within the benefit classification at the landfill. So yeah, the GASB line, just that one line, it's over $778,000. But if you look at the historical expense in that line, give me a minute to get back to that. Yeah, like I had called it up for the South and Center. just kind of a look back for South and Center, and then I'll do the landfill. The expense in 2019 was 41,000. In 2020, it was 178,000. Last year, it was negative 50,000. This year, 624,000. That's for the sewer district, for South and Center only. And for the landfill, we're gonna see a similar pattern. And I should comment too, that this is not, it's not a cash out expense in 2022. We make a contribution to a liability account for pension expense. So we're contributing to, on our books, we're growing this year that future liability account. So we have set aside essentially a reserve for pension expenses. So it's a very bad effect on the 2022 financial results, but as I said, it doesn't mean that we had to pay out $1 million this year. It means we're contributing to that future reserve. And so, there could be future negatives in that, in the annual contribution.
But probably not that big.
Probably not that big. Let's see.
The negatives are never.
So for the landfill, historically, the expense in 2019 was $108,000. 2020 was $452,000. Last year was negative 146. This year it's over $1 million. So as you can see, it is very volatile. So like our budgets, 2021 was just over 100,000. We had been budgeting like whatever the actual was when we got the actual for the last actual that we had. That's what we used for the budget for future years. So that had been our methodology, but that was not great. And so now it is simply an estimate based on the most information that we have.
What did you do in the negative year? You didn't budget a negative?
We did not budget a negative. We had budgeted 108,000 positive expense, and the actual was negative 146. And like I say, we have never budgeted negative, so we're not using that to budget future years. So just to give you a benchmark, so the budget for last year was $289,000. The budget for next year is $250,000. So if the performance.
So it'll only be $750,000.
Yes, so if the performance last year repeats itself, it's going to be another bad result. But we.
And it's what it is.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathleen.
I didn't like it either, Bob, when I saw it.
Okay, with all that additional information, are there any other questions concerning this resolution from the committee? Okay, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, the resolution carries. Our next resolution is to amend the 2023 budget to implement the landfill trailer purchase project using funding from the American Rescue Plan Act. This one's also yours.
Yes. So some funds allocated in the ARPA spending plan are no longer needed for the original designated projects and are now available for other projects. So the landfill applied, we saw a need, and the ARPA working group reviewed the new requests. We are requested some transfer trailers. We need some. We hold on to them a long time. Our fleet's getting depleted. This is something that we do budget from time to time in our capital equipment plan and purchase. And we have purchased some through grant opportunities for recycling, but there are not a lot of grant opportunities for the MSW needs that the landfill has. And the recycling, unfortunately, ties them up for 10-year minimum. So with the fleet getting older and a little depleted and the need for some new trailers to be safer on the road, and we applied to the ARPA board for 4 or 5 more new trailers using those funds. the trailers fit the ARPA standards set by the feds. And we had a recent bid for trailers, and that's another reason we asked the ARPA fund, because the trailers have gone up astronomically over the last few years in cost. And we felt it would ease the burden on our equipment purchasing fund, therefore easing the burden on all the users of the landfill, so we could spend our money elsewhere. So we've put in for the $440,000 to purchase, I believe it's 4 of them should be, as long as they come in close to the, I don't know if you guys have the spec sheet attached with it.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Committee, do you have any questions concerning this?
How many trailers are in your fleet?
Oh, we have 9, 6. Just MSW trailers, we probably have 12 or 13. I don't have the exact number in our head. And we have like 7 recycling trailers. At any given day, we'll fill 6. We filled up to 15 at North County. We can do 6 at South County, 1 or 2 at West County. So they're constantly in transit. And we have more, and we've actually scrapped quite a few, trying to recoup some of the money that were just unsafe and unusable anymore. Pulled pieces and parts off of, trying to get rid of that dead revenue sitting there, you know. So, but the need for more is there just because it's a continuous cycle. Waste is corrosive in many ways. Going in and out of the landfill is tough on anything. We do our best to keep it in good shape, and actually to get a semi in and out of there is pretty good, but you know, it just doesn't last. It's hard on them. They are used to pack on, you know. I don't know if you're familiar with they hook on at our stations and are packed into too, so that just, it all takes its toll.
A lot of wear and tear. You answered my next question. I was gonna say, what do you do with the old ones, but you.
Yeah, we
scrap
try to
them, part 'em out.
maximize any
Yeah.
benefits. I mean, when scrap's up, we're trying to, you know, use them. We patch them a lot. We put entire new floors in these things, new undercarriage supports, a lot of patching on the outside. We'll completely strip them, paint them, undercoat them, redo them. We do a lot of work to keep them going, because it, you know, at the tune of $87,000 or $110,000 per trailer, you can do a lot of maintenance to one, but there's just a time where it's too far gone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
All right. Seeing no further questions, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next proposed resolution is to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District. And this one also has an amend by substitution that should be on your desk, committee members. And
I'll make the motion.
thank you, Mr. Scudder.
I will second that.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All in favor of the, of amending by substitution for this proposal, or this proposed resolution, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we have substituted the one on your desk, and now we can discuss this.
Good afternoon, Matt Olbeck, Director, North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District.
Afternoon.
And as you can see, we have the same thing most everybody else had in the enterprise accounts, of the pension being the biggest account. We also had some emergency screw pump repair where a bearing went bad, and we had to replace the shaft that was quite expensive, so that's the two biggest things in there that took up why we have to, adjust. We were able to make up 60,931 with the other accounts, but unfortunately, with the other repairs, we fell short by $106,920, where we would have to pull from the fund balance.
Okay. Committee, any questions concerning this resolution?
That answered my question. What do we do when we don't have the funds to transfer around?
Yeah. What is, how much, how much do we have in an unassigned fund balance to draw from, and did we tap it all out, or?
$528,889 available in the fund, in the unrestricted fund balance, non-capital fund balance, or I usually call it the liquid fund balance. So there is fund balance to cover the deficit from 2022.
That's before this.
That's before this, yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay, so. Well, that's good. That's good that you saved up for this. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you
the
for that,
the
Kathleen.
North District has done a good job of increasing its fund balance. It was negative in 2018, so it's come quite a ways in the favorable direction since then.
That's great. You need a little rainy day money.
Just while we're on that fund balance, are there guidelines established by us or some other entity of what percentage those fund balances should be?
Not really,
Okay.
is the short answer.
Okay.
Not really. I
Just
mean, we
on the-
have,
on the right side
we
of
have a
zero,
fund,
sure.
we do have a fund balance guideline for the general fund, for the A fund, but we don't have them for the enterprise funds.
Okay. Thank you.
We always want to have a little more than what we need.
Right.
Okay, any other questions from the consent committee concerning this proposed resolution? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the resolution carries. Okay. Moving right along to our next proposed resolution, which is to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations for the North County Industrial Water District Number 1.
And I will be representing Brian Pearl, because he couldn't make it, he's the director. But again, it's the 12,527 is the amount for the pension. And we were able to make that up with the contractual account from the water district to decrease the contractor account.
Okay, that's good. Any questions from the committee concerning this resolution? That's good that we can make this up without dipping into the reserves for this one. Okay. All in favor of, if there are no other questions, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the proposed resolution carries. Thank you. And then we have the next resolution, which is very similar, to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations at the Portland, Pomfret, Dunkirk School District.
And I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Again, it's the pension, and there was $400 from personal services. And we were able to make that up within the 2022 budget.
Enough extra contractual money there to fill the gap, huh?
Yep.
Okay, any questions from the committee? Okay. Then, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, the resolution carries. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next proposed resolution is to authorize supplemental agreement number 2 with New York State DOT for PIN 5761.83.
I'm back. Drew Rogers, Deputy Director, DPF Engineering.
And Sam Zafoto, Fiscal Supervisor, Public Facilities.
Thank you.
DPF has a funding agreement with New York State DOT for PIN 5761.83, which is for the replacement of the Hopkins Avenue Bridge over the Chattacoin River in the city of Jamestown. This project is funded with 80% federal funds, 15% state funds, and 5% local funds. This resolution is to authorize entering into supplemental agreement number 2 on this project, which moves the project into the construction phase. The construction phase is estimated to cost $896,000, with roughly $716,800 through federal funds, $134,400 through state funds, and $44,800 through local funds, which would be drawn from the DPF capital bridge account.
Okay. I thank you for that. And committee, any questions concerning this resolution?
In an arrangement like this, are funds contingent from the other entities based upon our participation, or vice versa? Cart and a horse issue of, are they waiting for us to approve this before they approve their part? Has that already been allocated? Do we already have their part?
It's already committed as a project. This commits the county to, we're carrying
Our share.
forward with the project. We pay in the first instance, and then we reimburse after the.
Okay.
That's basically it, right? We're saying as a county that we're gonna pay for the whole thing and wait for reimbursement.
Okay.
Any further questions? All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Resolution carries. Our next proposed resolution is to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations. Public Facilities Road Machinery Division.
Yes, good afternoon. Yep, this resolution is to cover the overages in road machinery, which is basically where our fuel, vehicle maintenance, our mechanics, et cetera, are. We did do a resolution this past October adding funds to road machinery. At that time, with the unknown of the interest earnings of the county, we did not amend for revenue, so we are now coming back to balance the accounts with a surplus of revenue that we did have at the end of the year.
Okay. Any questions concerning this resolution from the committee? It must have been a really small loan with the $1
Well-
interest.
Well, actually, the interest was over by 50 cents, so, for what was budgeted, so.
We had to round up.
Yep, always.
Okay. Thank you. All right. If there's no other additional questions, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries. Our next proposed resolution today is to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations, public facilities, admin, and snow removal, county roads, defund.
Yep, this resolution balances the accounts for the D fund. There was a small overage contractually for administration. And then we did go over in the rock salt account that was based on the end of the year storms that were forecasted. And this is being balanced with savings through the maintenance of roads account and balances at this time.
Okay. Any questions concerning this resolution from the committee? Okay. All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries. Okay. Moving along to the next resolution we have, it's to amend the 2022 budget for year-end reconciliations for the Public Facilities A Fund.
Yep, this resolution is to balance the accounts for building and grounds and carts. Building and grounds and the Parks Department did have savings along with an increase in revenue at forestry to balance the accounts for the departments in the A fund. So this is just looking to close out the year.
Okay, the carts, operation, looks like it, was a big part of the, requirement.
Yeah, there obviously carts did have overages contractually. A lot of that's gonna be fuel related. And then in the personal services and benefits, they have had a hard time attracting people. So we've had, partial employees going over their hours and situations like that through 2022.
Oh, it's, a lot of that is from, paying overtime or,
It's more paying out of a different account. And Kathleen,
Well, yeah, there is an overage overall in the personal services classification, which includes both the base pay and the overtime. So there is an increase there, because as Sam explained, we're using drivers on overtime because we can't find enough drivers to work straight time.
Yep.
But the other good news from CARTS is that CARTS does have some unexpected revenues this year. So overall, the financial performance for that operation is good. When a lot of these resolutions, we are, as you know, we're legally bound to adjust any overages in the expenditure classification. So we're looking mostly at changing expenditures, and we don't always, you don't always see at this point in the process, you don't always see a revenue, a big revenue surplus, which is what we will see in CARTS at the end of the 2022, when we're done with all the 2022 results. So you see the bad news now, but you don't see all of the good news. Now, DPF could have used additional revenue to balance out those overages in CARTS from CARTS, but they chose to do it in a different way. So the short story is, yes, CARTS is over in its expenditures, but it's also over in its revenue. So right now, we expect the local share performance for CARTS will be favorable, because we're getting more revenue from other sources that were not anticipated when the budget was created.
okay, so, and so there's gonna be another 2022 amendment?
No, I mean,
No?
we only have to amend the expenses that run over. You know, we are only legally obligated to amend for bad news items. We don't have to amend for good news like extra revenue. It's not a legal requirement.
It's not a concern.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Okay, any further questions from the committee concerning that resolution? All right, all in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The resolution carries. And then, moving on to other.
No, Tim was gonna do that next month at this time now.
Oh,
After
okay.
discussion with Olivia and Tim.
All right. Thank you for that. Is there anything else to come before other for this committee today? Hearing nothing, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much. And a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. We are adjourned.